I'm anxious and my wife is avoidant. And that means that my anxiety pushes me towards her and her anxiety pulls her away from me. It's two sides of the same coin. Her core vulnerability is a fear of engulfment. In her mind, it seems really dangerous for her to be too close to someone who wants something from her, which would be me. My core vulnerability is a fear of abandonment. In my mind, it seems really dangerous for me to not be connected to someone who cares about me, which would be her. If this is my anxiety and this is her anxiety, my instinct is to approach her with my anxiety because I kind of feel like if I can just get closer to her, she would pay attention to me and care about me, then I would feel better. And what ends up happening is I kind of take my anxiety and stack it along on top of her anxiety. Now she can kind of do the same thing. So I would do this by approaching her or encroaching on her, but she would do it by withdrawing from me. And so that would be her taking her anxiety and stacking it on top of my anxiety. So when I try to get closer to her, it increases her anxiety. And when she tries to get further away from me, it increases my anxiety. So we're both trying to solve our own personal anxiety through the relationship system instead of dealing with it individually. So the solution to the anxious avoidant dynamic is for me to take personal responsibility for my own anxiety and not try to solve that anxiety through my relationship, and for my wife to do the same thing. Now, a relationship does require connection, and so we can't solve this by just being two separate entities. There has to be a way for us to connect. And what that looks like is for me to calm myself down first and then offer a calm, compassionate connection to my wife. And her work is exactly the same. She needs to calm herself down first and then offer a calm, compassionate connection to me. Now, her anxiety is going to drive her away from that. But my anxiety is also going to drive me away from that calm connection. It drives me towards an anxious connection, but an anxious connection is very different than a calm connection. So I have to work on calming myself down and then approaching her and offering her something solid. And she has to do the exact same thing. For the first 20 years of our marriage, neither of us understood the system. We didn't really understand how to calm ourselves. And she would just continually run away from me and I would just chase after her all the time. It's a pretty miserable way to be married. You can trace this system back to roots in childhood, where my experience in childhood was that if I wanted to have connection with my parents, that was something that I had to create. And she had the opposite experience where she had too much connection with her parents. So her parents were overly involved in her life and she found herself trying to find separateness or space from them because she couldn't get away from them fast enough. This anxious avoidant dynamic is so common, it exists in almost every relationship. Now, some people have it severely, like my wife and I. We have pretty solid anxious and avoidant tendencies, but a lot of people are actually closer to the middle and they might switch sides depending on what partner they're with at the time, or even as the relationship changes, one person might go from the more anxious side to the more avoidant side. My wife and I are so far to the extremes that that's unlikely to happen in our marriage, but I have seen it happen in a lot of the couples that I worked with. I want to take another look at this card where I have my anxiety and she has hers. And the way this works is I'm responsible for my anxiety and she's responsible for hers. And so I don't need to fix this for her and she doesn't need to fix this for me. And I need to not try to get her to fix mine and she needs to not try to get me to fix hers. I'm not responsible for her anxiety that she feels, but I am responsible for my behavior. I'm responsible for how I treat her. And if I want to have a good marriage, it's really important for me to learn to settle myself down and offer a calm connection to my wife. That's the only way for me to have the kind of marriage I want to have. And the longer I try to avoid that fact, the longer it's going to take me and my wife to build the kind of marriage that we both want to have.